Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, gonna get started. Friends. Lower this music a little bit. And hello! Oh, I have so many eggs on me already. Let's take these eggs off. We didn't earn these eggs yet. Hi, friends. How are you? Hi, Sean. Hi, Diego. Glad to see you in the chat. Welcome back to Attack the Pantry. I am Jenn de la Vega. This stream is a deep dive into ingredients, cooking techniques, and recipes to help you cook for yourself during quarantine and, well, the rest of your adult life. Last time on the stream, I answered Pierre's question about ribs. It made all of us really hangry for barbecue. I don't know about you, but I totally sought out some ribs after that. You can watch all the past clips here on my channel if you click on videos, and the entire archive is located at youtube.com/JENNDLV, and make sure to subscribe there because there's a bunch of stuff happening. So I'm a Twitch affiliate. That means you can subscribe to support this channel, or you can tip me. I'm going to put the tip link in the chat. Check this out. I learned how to do this. Or you can also follow me on social. That's another free thing you can do to support the channel, and tell people that we're live right now so they can join in and hang out with us. My username everywhere is below me, Randwiches. Today, I'm going to go through, I don't think I've ever really spelled it out, but I'm going to show off what people have made this week. I'm going to talk about what I've made this week, and then get into a little discussion about butter for no particular reason. I'm lying, there's a reason that I'm going to talk about butter today. And at the end of the show, I like to pretend we're on that show Chopped. So that'll be a fun thing that we do. Yeah. Hello. Snack check. Is everybody snacking on something? Snack check. What are you snacking on right now? Or are you drinking anything? I know it's like the afternoon. You just ate a burrito. Nice. Good snack check. Butter. You snacking on butter. Coffee. You just had a smoothie. All right. Gotta eat more, Diego. Gotta eat more. Have you ever had butter in your coffee? I heard that's a thing. All right, lots of really good links below to support the channel. There's a Patreon. In fact, I make so much stuff. On Mondays, I post skate videos on YouTube and Instagram TV. Skate video 36 is about my first skate meetup with this all-girl group called Girl Swirl. They're really, really cool. They actually shut down parks for like a lot of us to try them. Because there's this whole thing about feeling intimidated when you're first learning how to skateboard, and so Girl Swirl does a group like meetup where they block off streets with cones, get permission from the parks, and then have people teach you how to skate. And so I've had a really good time with them, and so that video is up now. We have a new Float City episode that's a little late, that's coming in hot this Friday, so stay tuned for an update. We also recorded last night, and gosh, it was really fun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Float City is the mini-series we are recording remotely for my main podcast that I'm on called Fun City. So on Fun City, we play this game called Shadowrun, and because we can't record in the studio, we decided to do remote recording, and Float City is an actual play podcast where we are playing a new unreleased tabletop RPG game called Still Fleet, which is based 100 million years in the future, and I get to play this little lizard person named Mercus. So you can check all that out below in the links if you go to funcity.ventures, which is wonderful. This week on Patreon, I have a new recipe today for sweet chili ribs. We were talking about ribs for so long last week that I realized I hadn't shared this recipe, so you can check it out for sweet chili ribs. Last week, I also had a very versatile scallion dressing recipe that I used for potato salads and barbecue chicken marinade while I was camping. Yes. Our next Netflix party is November 12th at 8 p.m., so save the date. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you will get the link automatically, but if you have trouble with Patreon or can't do it, please just message me on social and I'll happily share the invite link with you. We're gonna watch this show on Netflix called Samurai Gourmet. We watched a few episodes last time. And, Robert, who is in the chat, introduced it to us, so thank you for suggesting this show. I really, really loved it. I actually watched all of it already, but I want to show everybody kind of my favorites from the series. It's only one season so far, but it's basically this Japanese salaryman who retires and suddenly has all this time, and so he really savors his food, and when he encounters awkward situations in restaurants, he imagines this samurai who corrects everything. It's kind of amazing. So yeah, November 12th. Oh, Gwem! Oh my gosh, Gwem! Hi, Gwem! This is my first raid. I've never had a raid before. Thanks, Gwem. Nice to see you. If you don't know who Gwem is a UK-based musician who just started a YouTube channel. Does a lot of hardware explanations and is a wonderful musician. So thank you for sharing your audience with me. Hi. Hi, friends. I know you might be expecting music stuff, but I mean, I like some music stuff, but today we're talking about food. We're talking about butter. Welcome to my channel. So this is a food talk show, and I was about to actually just start sharing what people cooked this week. So if you are cooking at home and would like to show off what you've been doing, you can tag me on Instagram or Twitter, which is my username here, Randwiches, and I will happily feature you on this stream. Yeah. Where was I actually? So I was saying that we're going to have a Netflix party on November 12th at 8 p.m. We're going to watch a show called Samurai Gourmet. So if you'd like an invite to that, you can DM me on Twitter or join my Patreon. My podcast, Culinary Word of the Day, is on a little vacation, but you can follow the Twitter for updates, which is Culinary WOTD. Just a quick TV recap. I've been watching, again, too much TV. British Bake Off was Pastry Week, which was very, very cool. I don't know if you've watched it. Did anyone watch Bake Off this week? Pastry has a lot of butter, which is very, very relevant to the conversation later today. I also watched a lot of movies. I watched Cabin in the Woods, which is perfect for Halloween. Clue, Addams Family Values, A Simple Favor. And because my friend Branson Reese tweeted about it, I started watching Code Lyoko, which is like a cartoon. It's like a French-based cartoon that's trying to be an anime, but I don't know. It's just something innocuous to watch. Whatever. Books-wise, I'm currently reading How to Write an Autobiographical Novel by Alexandra Chee, and a book that my friend Bijan Steven recommended called MFA versus NYC by Chad Harbach, because I'm thinking about grad school and I don't know if it's right for me. So there's a book all about it. So if Patreon, Twitch sub, or Etsy isn't possible for you, you want to tip me for good cooking advice, my Venmo and PayPal is below. Or tell a friend to subscribe to my Instagram. Anyway, that's the business. Let's see what you all cooked this week. Again, you can send me photos to be featured here, which is super, super fun. Up first, lots of butter conversation today. I gifted butter to my favorite cat influencer, who is not really an influencer. She is too cool for Instagram. Her name is Laika, and I gave her a stick of Vermont cultured butter. She's a fan of butter, and she's just investigating the stick here. Right, what else? My friend Robin put the pixel egg on her car. If you joined my Patreon earlier on in the year, everybody got a free pixel egg sticker, and Robin put hers on her car, which is very sweet. Now we know that's Robin's car if you see a pixel egg on the window like this. Sean, this is your butternut squash pizza. You want to tell everybody about it? I see there's mozzarella, there's cauliflower crust, I think thyme. What else is on your pizza? It looks lovely, by the way. I actually have never tried a cauliflower crust. Has anyone in the chat tried a cauliflower crust? It looks great. What else is happening, friends? Dylan, for the first time, has tried a Beyond Burger. It looks a little different from the Impossible Burger. The Impossible Burger has more like a brown, like dense texture. The Beyond looks a lot like ground beef. I mean, I think there's a lot more beet in it. I've never had it, but I think looking at it texture-wise, it does look like beef. But Dylan is having the Beyond Burger, the prune style. So prune is a brunch place in New York City, and they serve their burgers on English muffins with white cheddar. So if you want to change up your burger game, that's a fun way to have it. And plus, if you toast an English muffin, they stand up a little bit better with juicy meats. It looks very meaty, but this is not meat. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, support English muffin as a bun. For sure, for sure, for sure. What else here? This was from my friend Kate, who went to a local bakery here in Greenpoint, and a lot of people text me things that look like eggs, but this is a pear tart, like a pear Danish, but it definitely looks like an egg. I would eat an egg tart like this, actually, if it was straight up an egg and not a pear. Wouldn't you? Yeah. That English muffin does radiate breakfast energy. You're so right. That's actually all I have for the submitted photos. So if you want to be featured here, put your photos on the screen. Please tag me on Instagram or Twitter, and I will happily share. You can share your successes in the kitchens, things that you see in the grocery store that you have questions about, and I will answer the questions. Or yeah, anything food related. Even if you want to share a picture of it inside your fridge, I'd love to see your fridge. Let's see what I've been up to this week. I repotted some plants for the first time. So I've just been like growing seeds willy-nilly from like food waste. So inside of a bell pepper, I've saved the seeds, avocado pits and soybeans. So I've just been throwing them in this same little like sprouting cup, like it was a to-go cup from a fast food place, with some compost. And I went camping for like 4 days, and I came back and there were so many stalks. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to separate them out, and I discovered that the really thick stalk was a avocado pit. I actually have sprouted 4 avocado pits in total, and I've never been successful. But this is a whole new horizon, whole new frontier for me. So wish me luck being a plant mom. What else is happening? My friends Kate and Anthony brought bagels to the park for a socially distanced brunch. Kate is currently in culinary school and shared some cured salmon that she had to take home from school. So thank you for that. It was really fun. I visited KCBC, which is the Kings County Beer Collective. They have a tap room in Bushwick, and they actually had their indoor space open, and it's like well ventilated. They have these like it's usually an open air space, and so you have to go in, you register, they take your temperature, you use hand sanitizer, they seat you, you gotta have your mask on when you order with the server, and you get a bag of Bjorn corn with every beer. It's delicious, and I had a great time, and they're doing good things there. So KCBC is currently open and serving, which is very exciting. Right next door to KCBC is a patio setup with Welcome. I think the bar is called Welcome to Johnson's, but the food pop-up inside that bar is called Strange Flavor, and so this is an okonomiyaki corn dog that I ate. It's very awesome, very crunchy, very very scallion. Yeah. I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to grow an avocado at home, but I'm willing to wait. I made a Twitter joke the other day that, you know, I'm like this tot waffle. I'm barely holding it together. But I've been experimenting with trying to make the Wonderville tot waffle. So there's this bar in Bushwick called Wonderville, and they serve tot waffles, and they're very well made. They're like little circles. Like they have this pattern that they put the tater tots on like a waffle iron, and so I haven't nailed it, obviously, but I'm trying to figure it out for home. It was very crunch, very good. Love a tot waffle. Do you have a waffle iron at home? Any of you? Have you tried making other things inside of your waffle iron? I'm currently experimenting with tot waffles. And then I sprinkle a little bit of cheddar cheese on top and let it cook again, and then it creates this like lacquer, like a crunchy layer. Oh, you have a waffle iron, but I haven't experimented much with it. There is a Tumblr called Will It Waffle, and this guy just like spent years just putting things in the waffle iron and saying, nope, doesn't waffle. Yes, waffles. Yeah, Will It Waffle. Let me see. Here, I think I got it. No? I think, hold on. Will It Waffle. I want to give it to you. I want to give you the link. Why won't it? Okay, Tumblr's loading too slowly. Forget it. My computer's mad at me. One time in 2008, a rando in Williamsburg asked you if you ever made life waffles at 3 a.m. What does that mean? Now I'm gonna think about that a lot, thanks. What does that even mean? Life waffle. Is anyone carving pumpkins? This is one that I carved like a decade ago. I haven't really carved a pumpkin in a long time. I've only carved pumpkins at work. Is that sad? Live waffles. Still confounding live waffles. Is anyone carving pumpkins? Let me know. Please tag me on the internet if you do carve a pumpkin. I want to see it. So this is relevant. Do you remember this meme of Adele holding a lot of Grammys? Or this guy holding a lot of limes? Like, oh no, I'm gonna drop them. Very relevant, because this leads into the discussion I'm going to have soon. So, I made a joke about being a butter influencer a couple months ago, like, the French Cheese Board, which is a shop / consortium of dairy makers from France, and they try to promote French dairy products to New Yorkers, and I am a willing drone in this area. Like, I love butter, I love dairy, I love cheese, and sometimes they send me, like, great samples. I have it here, hold on. Yeah, the French Cheese Board sent me a bunch of butter to experiment with, and these are some of the ones that I still have left. Lescure, beurre, Charente de Poitou, beurre d'Esseny, beurre du unsalted butter. So I've come into a lot of butter recently. Again, now with Vermont butter and cheese. Or Vermont Creamery, excuse me. Vermont Creamery is based, of course, in Vermont, and they have great cheese, amazing goat cheese, and lots of butter, apparently. They sent me, like, 12 blocks of butter to kickstart my holiday baking, so thank you very much, Vermont Creamery. They aren't really sponsoring this, but it was very nice of them to do this. It's a cultured butter, which I will discuss the scientific background of. It comes with 2 sticks, and it has sea salt in this flavor. You can tell my outfit, I'm like, in the picture, I'm like matchy with it. My hair is red and my dress is green. Yeah, I think about these things. But it was really exciting to receive this amount of butter, in addition to the French butter that I've gotten. So I thought today we could talk about butter. Let's see. Let's get to it. Butter! Oh yeah, so much fancy butter. Yeah, the last few pumpkins you carved were at work. Yeah, makes sense. Also at work. Yeah, I'm getting so much fancy butter, but you know what? There's still lots of great butters that are available in the grocery store, and hopefully my explanation between the types will help you make better choices about what you're going to cook and how to use them. Right. So what is butter? Butter is a dairy product made from the fat and protein components of milk or cream. It's a semi-solid emulsion at room temperature. So that, room temperature or cold, it's pretty solid, but we can still, like, put a knife in it. You can still cut it. They consistently have about 80% butter fat. If it's used at room temperature, it can be spread. It can be melted as a condiment and used as an ingredient in lots of things. So baking, sauce making, pan frying, and other cooking procedures around the world. So butter is mostly made from cow's milk, but can be manufactured from other mammals, including sheep, goats, buffalo, and yaks. Don't you love that? Yaks. Yee. So rendering butter, removing the water and milk solids, produces clarified butter, or ghee, which is almost entirely butter fat. So this is why you don't use regular butter to cook at high temperatures or stir fries, because it contains milk solids that will burn. But once you separate the milk solids, it's actually a 15-minute process. Clarifying butter just means that you are cooking off those milk solids so that they're able to be strained out. And then you're left with this bright yellow, not cloudy liquid that still hardens when you refrigerate it. But yes, you will see that a lot in Indian cuisine or recipes. Yes, yak butter, we will get to that. So butter is a water in oil emulsion resulting from the inversion of the cream. So where the milk proteins are the emulsifiers. So butter remains solid when refrigerated, but softens to a spreadable consistency at room temperature, and it melts to a thin liquid consistency at 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 to 35 degrees Celsius for you people that practice Celsius. I'm just kidding. I should get more used to Celsius, actually. My friend Lenny asked if there's any real butter out there that is spreadable right out of the fridge, and the answer is no. Anything that is immediately spreadable out of the fridge is not really butter. Or it probably has an inordinate percentage of whey, which is the stuff that's separated out when you make cheese. So one way to get around a really hard stick of butter is to get a butter knife that has holes in it. You might have seen these at specialty cooking stores like Sur La Table or online. It's a butter knife that just has like 6 little holes at the very top of it. And so what that does, it acts like a grater. And if you don't want to get that, you can just straight up use graters to break up that surface area and increase overall heat on all sides, which will get to room temperature faster. Make sense? Science. So, the natural color of butter is dependent on the source animal's feed and genetics. A trick from cheese making that you can kind of translate to any dairy product is by looking at the color of milk. Cow's milk is generally a yellow straw color. Goat's milk is stark white. Stark white. Because they can digest beta carotene, which gives that orange color. And then buffalo milk and sheep milk tends to have a different fat content, so the viscosity of those are going to look different. And they're also not stark white. They're a little like off eggshell white. So if you see something that is stark white, it is goat's milk. If it's a little straw yellow color, it is cow's milk. And it will vary in between on the spectrum depending on the kinds of things that they eat, like hay versus fresh grass versus garlic versus all those sorts of things. The word butter derives from Latin butyrum, which is a Latinization of the Greek buturum. This is a compound of ox and cow, so bus, and turos, so cow, and cheese, so cow's cheese. Which is funny because butter is not necessarily cow's cheese, but it comes from a cow. Cheese may have been a more wide term back then. In general, the term butter refers to the spread of a dairy product when, you can't come up with any other words to describe it. Unrelated to that, the word is commonly used to describe pureed vegetables, seed, and nut products, like peanut butter, almond butter, and it's often applied to fruit products like apple butter. Fats like cocoa butter and shea butter, they remain solid at room temperature, but then become liquid when they're heated up. So they act like butter. But technically, none of these things, peanut butter, apple butter, cocoa butter, are not butters. It's just like they didn't have another word for it. Something that starts solid when it's cold, and something that melts when it's heated up. Oh, you have seen the knife with the holes in it. Yeah, that's what that's for. It's for butter. Yeah. So, anyway, the butter we're talking about is produced by agitating cream, and it damages those membranes and allows the milk fats to conjoin. Kind of like the cohesion property of water. So milk fats want to join each other, but they're blocked by membranes in the milk molecules. So separating them from the other parts of the cream gets the fats to hold on to each other. So butter contains fat in 3 separate forms. The free butterfat crystals, and undamaged fat globules. In the finished product, different proportions of these forms result in different consistencies within the butter. Butters with many crystals are harder than butters dominated by free fats. So what I'm saying, whenever there's a butter that is easily spreadable right out of the fridge, that means that there are more free fats and more whey than butter crystals. You want more of the butter crystals because that's where the flavor is, y'all. That's where the salt is. So churning produces small butter grains floating in the water-based portion of the cream. This watery liquid is called buttermilk. Although now most buttermilk now is like commercial buttermilk is instead directly fermented skim milk. So buttermilk used to come from the butter churning process, but is now commercially produced by aging the milk. So when you're churning butter, the buttermilk is then drained off, and then the grains, or like whatever's left over, those crystals, are worked. They're pressed and kneaded together and stamped. And this is like usually in French practice when they're prepared by hand. This is used with wooden boards called Scotch hands. I really want to learn what that's about. I'll have to look that up another time. But anyway, this consolidates the butter crystals into a solid mass and breaks up any pockets of buttermilk and pushes out any water that is left in there. There's this great video of, let me see if I can find it. I'm going to put it in the chat if I find it. How French butter is made. Yes, here we go. I'm going to put it in the chat for you. It's very fun and soothing to watch. French butter. So commercial butter is about 80% butter fat and 15% water. The density of butter, this is very fascinating. I normally wouldn't talk about like a density of things, but density of butter is 0.911 grams per cubic centimeter, which is about the same as ice. Like, what? The density of butter is about the same as ice? Like, I guess that makes sense, right? That you can invariably bite into a stick of butter as you can bite into a cube of ice. But the sensation is different, I think, because of the temperature and the fact that your mouth is warm, so you're melting both of them, but they have different textures. It's gonna break my brain if I think any more about it. Yeah. I don't understand. Anyway, before modern factory butter making, cream was usually collected from several milkings and was therefore several days old and somewhat fermented by the time it was made into butter. So this is known as cultured butter, which is what I have here. I have this one, cultured butter. Another method for producing cultured butter developed in the early 1970s. It's to produce butter from fresh cream and then incorporate bacterial cultures and lactic acid. This is very similar to how cheese is made these days. So instead of inoculating ambient mold is now injected into the milk and the cheese is made. And then it creates this cultured flavor in the fridge, which is fascinating. So dairy products are often pasteurized during production to kill pathogenic bacteria and other microbes. Butter made from pasteurized fresh cream is called sweet cream butter, which is very popular in the UK. So you'll tend to see cultured butter more so in the French areas and sweet cream butters in the UK. And not to say that they don't cross over, it's just kind of where the practices originated. Mm-hmm. So the earliest butter would have been from sheep's or goat's milk. Cattle were not really thought to have been domesticated for another 1,000 years. It's pretty crazy. There's an ancient method of butter making, and it's still used today in parts of Africa and the Near East. It involves a goat skin half filled with milk and inflated with air before being sealed. Kind of like a milk balloon. The skin is then hung with ropes on a tripod of sticks and rocked until the movement leads to the formation of butter. So it's like a giant balloon filled with milk on the end of a string and then shaken until it's churned. That's crazy. I love that. I love it. Wow. In the Mediterranean climate, unclarified butter spoils very quickly, unlike cheese, so it's not a practical method of preserving the nutrients of milk. So butter is not very popular in the Mediterranean area, which is why olive oil is really popular in Greece, because butter spoils quickly. Oh my gosh, that blows my mind. That blows my mind. Oh my gosh. You really want to bite into a butter right now? I mean, I wouldn't stop you. Just don't eat the whole stick. It's like a liability. So it's okay to keep butter in the fridge or freezer. Yes, it is absolutely okay to freeze butter. Just as long as it's in its solid form. You can keep butter in the fridge. You can also keep it at room temperature. There's this French method called, or a French utensil called a butter keeper. So it's this little lid thing that you keep on a dish. So the lid, you put the butter in, and then so you can just open the lid and get the butter. But and it's always going to be spreadable at room temperature. And in a butter keeper, there's a little moat of water that keeps it sealed. So you can either use a butter keeper or a traditional, a butter dish. So it has the bottom dish and then the other lid on top of it. But yeah, you can keep it at room temperature. Just as long as you are careful about not getting, don't double dip your knife. So if you're putting it on toast, make sure you get enough butter and then don't get any of the toast bits on the butter, because the more you introduce organic material to the butter that's kept at room temperature, that stuff is going to grow mold. So whenever you use butter at room temperature, just make sure you cut once and use it, or use a different knife, because if you get jelly onto the butter, jelly will mold at room temperature. You know what I'm talking about? All right. But yes, keeping butter at room temperature is one way to guarantee that you can always spread it. Gwem says, crumpets with olive oil and honey are amazing. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, new visitor, Oh Moist Muffins. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. But yes, happy to answer questions about butter. Okay, so different varieties are found around the world. This is really exciting. Smen, S-M-E-N, is a spiced Moroccan clarified butter that's buried in the ground and aged for months or years. And it's related to a bread that is sold here in New York City by Hot Bread Kitchen. It's called Emsmen. So if the butter is called Smen, Emsmen is buttered bread. Whoa! There's a similar product. It's called Maltosh of the Hunza Valley, where cow and yak butter can be buried for decades, and then it's used at events like weddings. Wow. We're getting to yak butter now, which is a specialty in Tibet. It's called Sampa, T-S-A-M-P-A. It's barley flour mixed with yak butter, and that is a staple food. It sounds very nutritious, actually. Butter tea is consumed in the Himalayan regions of Tibet, Bhutan, Nepal, and India, and it consists of tea served with intensely flavored or rancid yak butter and salt. Whoa, 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 whoa. Can I talk about butter in a scary way? I can talk about its high butter fat and that you'll probably get a heart attack if you ate it all the time. Why is yak butter not popular in the U.S.? One, it's... Sorry. Was that appropriate? I don't know. Yak butter is not popular in the U.S. because, one, it's kind of the same reason why water buffalo milk is very expensive. We don't have a lot of water buffalo cheeses because water buffaloes are notoriously hard to milk. They require affection of, yes, it's appropriate from Halloween month. You're so right. Water buffaloes require to be nuzzled by their offspring or to be, caressed while they're being milked. And there's just not as many, water buffalo herds like we have cows. We have a lot of cow's milk products because there are just so many and that we've cultivated farming of it. But water buffalo are just too expensive, and I think the same case applies to yaks. They are hard to access because they're in the mountains. Yeah, I know. They're in the mountains, and it's probably really expensive to export. Yes, it's true. Water buffaloes need to be caressed while being milked or nuzzled by its offspring. So it needs to know it's giving up its milk to the right source. It's very protective over it. It won't milk if it's not being appreciated. And that's why it's expensive. That's why buffalo's milk cheese is expensive. And this is why yak's milk is not popular in other parts of the world. Yak's milk is common in Tibet because it's abundant there and it doesn't need to be transported. I know. Hilarious. I know. I love butter too. Let's see. In Africa and Asia, butter is traditionally made from sour milk rather than cream. It can take several hours of churning to produce workable butter grains from fermented milk. This is fascinating. I kind of want to try it. Once butter is softened, you can mix in spices and herbs or other flavoring agents to make compound butter or composite butter. This is something that I love doing. Oh my gosh. Compound butters are basically flavored butters. You can slice them, you can place them on top of steak, you can melt them into sauce. It's something you can keep in the freezer and just keep until, you know, the holidays and have like holiday spice butter. It's so fun. Sweetened compound butters can be served with dessert, added to caramels, and then you can also do hot buttered rum. Can you imagine a cranberry hot buttered rum? Yak butter is the most romantic butter. I would say water buffalo is the most romantic butter, but yak probably the most spiritual butter because it's in Tibet. Let me show you some examples of how I've been using butter. So this is a cultured butter that I shot for a CSA company. This is a ham biscuit with honey butter. It's melted into the biscuit. This was delicious. Honey butter. How much do you love honey butter? This is a pretty traditional. This is just softened butter on toast with a little bit of sumac on top. This is something that I actually love doing. You can get fresh French radishes and have just plain butter with toast and then use some flaky sea salt on top. Or you can switch up the spices. I've used sumac here. You can use cumin to make it more taco flavored. You can use paprika to make it more smoky flavored. So use up the stuff in your pantry to change up your toast situation. Toast and butter situation. So I mentioned butter on top of a steak. You can use compound butters here. You can look at chive butter or this is a ramp butter. Every April I make ramp butter because ramps are only in season for a very short time in New York City. This was a pastrami butter. Okay, so this this is where we get like crazy. So my friends at Smallhold, which is a mushroom company, challenged me to make as many mushroom dishes or mushroom bites out of one giant mushroom. They gave me a mushroom that was like as big as my head. And so I made like 5 dishes, and this is a mushroom pastrami toast. So that is a piece of mushroom that I've brushed with a red pastrami butter. So I did some research about how pastrami is made. And I basically made that dry rub that you use for pastrami, but made it into a compound butter that I brushed onto things. And so this is a mushroom pastrami that I've made. So butter can take you so many places. This is a blue cheese butter. This is actually quite strong. Blue cheese is very strong, but offset by sweet things like these grapes that I have in the photo. If you're going to experiment with putting cheese inside of butter, like, because it's kind of backwards, right? Cheese has butter fat, but if you reverse the proportion, you can make compound butters with bits of cheese in it. I advise you, though, if you're going to make any compound butters with cheese in it, that you have to eat it within a week, because a lot of cheeses still have active mold cultures, and so will continue to mature. Blue cheese will become spicier. Brie cheeses will continue to grow that white mold on the outside rind. So if you're going to do a compound butter with cheese bits in it, like, make sure you eat it quickly. I've also made a Cool Ranch. This is what it looks like, a Cool Ranch compound butter. And this is what I stuffed under the skin of a turkey one year during Thanksgiving. So I researched the ingredients of Doritos Cool Ranch and caramelized some onions, had a bunch of chives, got some buttermilk powder, and mixed it into melted butter. And then it hardened, and now I had this ranch flavored butter. It was awesome. It was really fun. Yeah, blue cheese, butter, and wings. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Did you know that buffalo wing sauce is simply Frank's Red Hot and butter? So you can make your own wing sauce with different flavors. Yeah, use compound butters and Frank's Red Hot, or any other hot sauce for that matter. You can just, change the proportion. It's real good. Real good. And finally, this is one of my craziest ideas I've had. This is in my cookbook. This is spiced ham butter. So it's like pulverized ham or prosciutto with a little bit of orange zest and then mixed with butter. And it's like a spread. It's a little bit more luxurious than potted meat product. It's a little fancier, and you can see that it is paired with these French radishes, which cleanses the palate and adds some crispness to the dish. But yeah, you can make compound butter anything if you dream it. Let's go back to my main butter. Yeah, time to experiment. Oh my gosh. The New York Times has a great base recipe for making compound butters. So if you just follow that proportion, you can swap in all the herbs and spices that you want. Like, I'd be curious to see, like, what everybody's personal compound butter would be. Like, what's your favorite flavor that you'd want to put? Yeah, this does sound almost like deviled ham. Totally right. That's kind of where I got the idea, because I grew up with canned meat products. Like, I ate a lot of Spam growing up, and my dad would fix me a warm dinner roll with liverwurst. So deviled ham was not very far off from that. Yeah. So continuing on, other kinds of ways you can use butter. So compound butter is a big thing that I do all the time. Melted butter plays an important role in the mother sauces in French cuisine. So there's a few examples like beurre noisette or hazelnut butter, or beurre noir, black butter, or brown butter. They're sauces of melted butter cooked until the milk solids and sugars have turned golden brown or dark brown, and they're finished with a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice. More famously, there are hollandaise and béarnaise sauces that are emulsions of egg yolk and melted butter. They are, in essence, mayonnaise made with butter instead of oil, but they are stabilized with the powerful emulsification of egg yolks. Butter itself is an emulsified product, mostly those remnants of fat globule membranes, and it forms its own stable emulsion within the hollandaise. So that's kind of how it's made. Beurre blanc, or white butter, is made by whisking it into reduced vinegar or wine, forming an emulsion with the texture of thick cream. Beurre monté, or prepared butter, is melted but still emulsified butter. It lends its name to the practice of mounting a sauce with butter, whisking cold butter into any water-based sauce at the end of cooking, giving the sauce a thicker body and glossy shine, as well as buttery taste. And that's kind of the concept of risotto. If you stir a pat of butter at the end, that's kind of gives it that glossy texture. Same thing with grits. If you put a pat of butter at the end, it's called mounting a sauce, or beurre monté. Butter, of course, takes up a lot of space in the baking world. It is, it's very similar to lard or suet or shortening that you use in like pie crusts, but people prefer butter because it has, that cultured flavor or a salty flavor and a different texture. Like lard and shortening tends to fall apart more, so if you favor flakiness, you might want to opt for lard or schmaltz or shortening. But if you want more flavor, then the butter is probably going to fulfill that need. So obviously, lots of cookie doughs, breads like brioche, cake batters. Whenever you are baking and you see a recipe, there's always going to be a step in the very beginning to cream the butter and sugar together. The reason for that is to introduce air bubbles into the butter, so that those tiny bubbles locked in the butter expand from the heat of baking and aerate the cookies or cake. So it acts like a leavening agent, without necessarily adding baking soda or baking powder, excuse me. So pastries like pie dough incorporate pieces of the solid fat into the dough, which become flat layers when the dough is rolled out. So during baking, that fat melts away, leaving those layers. And that's how flaky texture is made. Butter, because of its flavor, is a common choice. Yeah. But it can be difficult to work with because it has a very low melting point. So pastry makers will often chill all the ingredients and utensils while working with butter dough. My friend Nicole Taylor advises to freeze your pastry cutter and mixing bowl to keep the butter from melting during a hot day when you're trying to make pie or hand pies. Wow. So my friends, how do you enjoy butter? What is your favorite way to use butter? Goem says grits with butter are great. I wish we had them in the UK. Oh, we gotta ship you some grits. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Gotta send you some grits. Lovely. Grits are amazing. Martin's a fan of fudge. Yes, it is butter and chocolate. You are so right. Excuse me. Pardon me. Sorry, everybody. Whew. Oh my goodness. Yeah, please tell me in the chat, how do you enjoy butter? What is your favorite way? Or do you have any butter questions? Thank you. Sometimes I sneeze. Melted butter on biscuits. Yes, I love a honey butter biscuit. My favorite biscuit recipe is Andrew Carmelini, and in his recipe, he teaches you about the envelope fold. Hey, Shmas, how are you? Welcome. We're answering questions about butter, talking about our favorite butter dishes. What's your favorite way to enjoy butter? Scampi sauce. I'm not a fan of shrimp, but I believe that it's tossed in the butter at the very end. Again, another example of mounting a sauce, or beurre monté. Butter on potatoes. Yes. Crepes with butter, lemon, and sugar. Hell yeah. That's something I didn't really grow up with. I would like to increase the amount of crepes in my life. Goem loves it on English muffin, on crumpets. Thickly spread. Oh yeah. Unsalted. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you keep yours out of the fridge ready to go all the time. That's awesome. Oh yeah. Butter makes a perfect little sauce. Yes, it does. I'll happily also take suggestions of what I should do with all of this butter. So I have French butter. They're all cultured. I have the Vermont butter that is salted, and then I have an unsalted. I already have 2 ideas for what I want to make with all this butter. All this butter in my house. I'm going to make this Filipino cake. It's called Sans Rival. It translates to without rival. There is literally no other cake like it. It is cashew wafers that are layered between buttercream, and then the outside is just coated with cashews. It's really fun. I grew up with it. You're only supposed to have like tiny slivers of it because it's just straight up butter. But it's something fond from my childhood that I really loved at every party. I might experiment with different nut textures on the outside, like pistachio, so I might make it green. Might be cool. I might make polvoron, which is kind of like a powdery shortbread cookie. What else should I make with all this butter? I just have so much of it. For those of you who missed it, I'll show you how much butter I have. I have an incredible amount of butter. Like, that's how much butter I have. I'm like this guy. And Adele. Mac and cheese is also delicious. Do you ever, I know that you put butter in the sauce, but have you ever drizzled butter over the crumbs on top? That makes it even more golden. I've never done buttered bourbon. I've done buttered rum. I've done hot buttered rum during the holidays, which I actually really liked. Oh, what was the name of the place? The Gray. So when I went to Savannah, Georgia, was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't remember. But there's this restaurant called The Gray in Savannah, Georgia that has a hot buttered rum cocktail on their menu. And they have like a holiday compound butter that they put in it. So that's like a cool shortcut that you can mix the aromatics of the cocktail into the butter for a hot buttered drink. So it was like clove and nutmeg and cinnamon, kind of like a mulled wine. Yeah, it was 2 years ago, Savannah, Georgia. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. But I've never done buttered bourbon. I'm actually very curious about that because I've had bourbon balls, like the candy, but I've never had it as a drink. Oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind. Totally gonna do a buttered bourbon. Oh my gosh. Totally cool. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, that's all I've got about butter, friends. Do you have any questions about butter? Diego had a great question earlier about can you store it at room temperature, and the answer is yes. Just make sure you have a good butter dish that has a cover so that no flies get into it, and make sure that you don't double dip your knife when you're spreading butter on toast, because if you get some jelly onto the butter block and then leave it at room temperature, the jelly is going to create some mold. IKEA 2-for-1, you end up with butter, bourbon, and bourbon butter. Yeah, oh my gosh, I want to try it. I want to try it so badly now. Maybe I'll try it tomorrow. I'm not going to try it tonight because I actually have a taco date with my friends Bree, Kenny, and Mike from San Francisco. So I'm gonna have some taco truck tonight. Socially distanced, of course. All right, last call for butter questions or butter anecdotes or butter stories that you've got. I gotta start putting this butter away. I don't want it to melt. Oh, my favorite butter is called beurre de barat. It's literally barrel aged butter. Like you were joking about it earlier, Martin, but it's a real thing, beurre de barat. Let me switch to my big screen here. Yeah. Beurre de barat. It has a barrel. You see it? So they're using the barrel and twisting it like it's churning. Isn't that cool? Yes, Robert, I'm gonna get the birria. If you wanna come. I'm going at 7. Yeah. All right, friends, that's all about butter today. You can follow up with me on social if you have any more butter questions or want to share butter dishes with me. I want to feature your photos on the show next time. But for now, let's go to our Chopped exercise. So if you're new to the chat, we pretend that we're going to be on that show Chopped. Like, pretend we have a basket. And in the chat, you can suggest 3 or 4 ingredients that we're all going to work together and try to mash up into dishes. But we have all the time in the world, so pretend like it's not the TV show and we have time to make things. This is just more about expanding our minds and trying to inspire each other for dinner or like what to do with curveball ingredients. You can mash up 1 or 2 ingredients or all 3. There's no pressure. It's just it's like a creative exercise to figure out like what is possible with food. So in the chat, please suggest 3 or 4 ingredients for us to mash up in our pretend chopped basket. I will drink this seltzer while I wait for some suggestions. Pumpkin. Okay, first ingredient, pumpkin. Okay, we need at least 2 more ingredients to mash up in our chopped basket. Would love your suggestions, friends. Goat's milk and butter. Great suggestions. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and some spinach. Okay, let's use those 4 ingredients. Pumpkin, goat's milk, butter, and spinach. Great. Everybody start thinking. You can combine 2 ingredients, 3 ingredients, or try to do all 4, no pressure. The idea is to just spit out as many ideas and suggestions that could help other people figure out what they want to eat. I'll just go through each of the individual ingredients to help you think about it a little bit more. So pumpkin. Pumpkin can be very sweet, but it can also be very bland. You know, if it's not as ripe, it won't develop a lot of those warm, sugary flavors. Pumpkin needs to be peeled, of course. You can spiralize it and turn it into pumpkin noodles. You can roast it. You can poach it in some flavorful broth and it will become soft. We can boil it and make it a puree like a mashed potato. We can cut it into fries and make it into French fries or waffle fries or whatever. So pumpkin can be treated pretty much like squash or even a potato, but maybe just a little bit more delicate. It plays really, really well with dairy, which leads me to the goat's milk. I've never had raw goat's milk, but, you know, I bet it tastes like goat cheese. A little tangy, a little lemony. Goat's milk can be made into cheese by boiling it with an acid, so it separates the what's it called? The curds from the whey. You can make cheese with it. We could churn it for a very long time to make goat's milk butter. But I feel like we already have butter here in the basket, so we don't have to make more butter. Goat's milk can be scalded to make a skin, which is how yuba is made. You know tofu yuba? Tofu yuba is like this sheet that forms when you boil soy milk. So you could do the same thing with goat's milk. That skin that you get when you heat milk up in the microwave, this is actually something that people eat. And then butter. We talked for a very long time about butter. So, oh yeah, and then spinach. So spinach can be eaten raw, like in a salad. It can be on a burger. It can be sautéed. It can be tossed with some olive oil and roasted in the oven to make chips. What else can spinach do? Spinach can be made into a pesto or a sauce by grinding it up with some garlic and olive oil. Okay, so we have 4 ingredients: pumpkin, goat's milk, butter, and spinach. How would you make a meal out of that? It can be small, it can be big, it can only use 2 of the ingredients, or it can use up to all 4. Just shout out your ideas in the chat and we'll talk about it. All right, we already got a pumpkin and spinach empanada. Yum, yum. Yeah, using butter in a pastry. Perfect. We can make a goat's milk queso. So, yeah, we could do like a goat's milk queso to dip it in. Have you ever had a vegan queso with squash? We could use a pumpkin queso with the goat's milk. Yeah. You could even mix it inside of the empanadas. That's a great idea. We can do a pumpkin goat's milk fondue. Cute. What else? We could just, you can also think simply here. So we can saute the spinach in the butter. We could do creamed spinach with the goat's milk and the butter. We can roast the pumpkin with some butter. We can also make a stew with the pumpkin and spinach. You can use the pumpkin as a bowl. Pumpkin puree and spinach puree and have it like a layered tart. That sounds lovely. Like a Danish? Like an open-faced savory Danish? That sounds nice. Yeah, butter really lends itself well to pastry and baking, for sure. Curry may work with the pumpkin and spinach fried in butter. Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, pumpkin curry with spinach in it? Yes. That all sounds good. Okay, here are more creative prompts here for you. We've already done a soup. How about a salad? Could you do a roasted pumpkin, goat milk ranch salad? Whoa. Ooh, a congee. Yeah. Pumpkin congee with a little finish of butter and some crispy spinach, maybe? That'd be good. How would you make these into a sandwich? Yeah, pretty much anything. Hello, welcome, new person. Toria, yes, curry will definitely work. Anything can be curry. We can even expand the ideas of curry. So it could be a Thai pumpkin curry. It could be a Japanese pumpkin curry. It could be a Filipino curry, which is peanut based. Peanut pumpkin curry. With the spinach. Pumpkin fries with goat spinach dip. You are onto something here. My mom used to put spinach in artichoke dip. So like a spinach dip with goat cheese. Oh my gosh, that sounds fun. You could even put that on toast. Pumpkin fries. Yes, I'm all about that. I wonder if you can make pumpkin waffle fries. There's not enough like depth for you to be able to get many fries from it, but I wonder if you could do it. Hey friends, if you're new to the chat, we are pretending we're on that show Chopped, and we are mashing up 4 ingredients: pumpkin, goat's milk, butter, and spinach. So if you have ideas on how to combine either 2 or 3 or all 4 of those things, we're just brainstorming how you would approach that. And pretend you have, a normal pantry of like other things to help you make that stuff, like flour and sugar. But all the time in the world. Like, if in an imaginary world I had all the time in the world to experiment with these 4 ingredients, what could you do? We could definitely age some cheese. Roasted pumpkin on a toasted butter baguette and spinach tossed in like a creamy dressing would make a nice sandwich. Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Chopped is a show where people get a mystery basket and they have to make like an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert from each basket, and there's different rounds, and people get chopped, like kicked out of the show. I think Ready Steady Cook, I've never seen it, so is it kind of like that, where you don't know what the ingredients are going to be? Yeah. Kind of like Iron Chef also. But Iron Chef is focused on 1 ingredient while we're talking about 4. I have to check out this other show now. I've never heard of Ready Steady Cook. Interesting. Well, welcome. Does anyone else have any more ideas? Like, okay, so we have a sandwich, we have a salad, we've fried it, we've made a soup. How about a dessert? Like, a dessert that's not a pastry. Could we do pumpkin ice cream? With the goat milk? Totally. Could we do candied pumpkin pieces? Okay, Ready Steady Cook is 2 chefs, 2 members of the public bring in a bag of groceries, and the chef designs a meal, and they have half-hour cook. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much Chopped, except it's 4 chefs with, they each get the same basket, and they have to make a meal in 30 minutes. Yeah. I've been on standby for Chopped. I've never actually been on the show yet. But it films here in New York, so. Well, thank you for following. So wonderful. All right, last call for ideas. How would you mash up, my friends, spinach, butter, goat's milk, and pumpkin? I think the goat's milk has a lot of potential here. Do you think you could sub the potato and potato bread with pumpkin and then make a melon bread? Yeah, you could. You could make a pumpkin bread, for sure. It just would be a little bit wet. You would probably have to balance the flour. But yeah, you could definitely put pumpkin in a bread. You could do a pumpkin swirl. I'm surprised nobody said anything pumpkin spice anything. We could do a pumpkin pie with goat cheese caramel. Pumpkin muffins, yes. Oh, how about this? How about a pumpkin flan? because you can make condensed milk from milk. Basically, okay, so milk becomes condensed milk, and then when you caramelize condensed milk, it becomes creme caramel. So we can make a flan with the pumpkin. Doesn't that sound lovely? Hey, Shirabon's here! Oh my gosh, thanks for following, Shirabon. Nice to see ya. Mikey! When you were in Argentina, you had goat's milk dulce de leche. That's what I'm talking about. We can make goat milk dulce de leche. What if we did a sweet fondue with the goat's milk dulce de leche and had pieces of pumpkin bread that you dip in? How fun would that be? Oh man, I love this exercise. Y'all are killing it today. This is amazing. This is some really, really good ideas. So good. Okay, now the spinach. So how would we work the spinach into the goat milk? Like, the easy answer is creamed spinach. Or, oh, this is so wonderful. You have this on while you're cooking? Oh, I'm so glad I could accompany you. Because you know what? If you get stumped while you're cooking, you can just type in the chat, like, help me, Jen. And I'll be like, let me help you. I'm glad to see you. Oh, this makes me so happy. Well, okay, so the spinach and the goat's milk. So the easy answer, I said, was creamed spinach. But how else can we use it? You know? Like, you can make a spinach cream cheese if we make a cream cheese out of the goat cheese. So, in omelets, when you are using spinach, it's called Florentine. So you could do a pasta Florentine. We could do pumpkin pasta with some spinach. Whoa, y'all. We could do an omelet. You could do a spinach omelet with some goat cheese queso or like cheese sauce. Yeah, fried spinach has a textural component. It is a little tough because spinach can be pretty watery, so you'd have to be careful. Because they contain so much water, they don't have a lot of structural integrity. Like, so kale doesn't have as much water and has tons of fibrousness. So I can say that spinach leaves could work as a roasted chip situation, but probably not as stable as a kale chip. We could use spinach oil and dress a pumpkin with it, like a bright green oil. You can make pumpkin oil. We've never even talked about the pumpkin seeds. Pepitas. You can make seed oil out of that. You can roast the seeds and have them crispy on top of things. Oh my gosh. Even lacquered onto your empanada that you mentioned earlier in the chat. Oh my god. This is a really great segment. I'm so proud of all of you. These are all amazing ideas. Amazing ideas. Well, I think I need to go get ready for my my adventure out to the taco truck. There is a new birria taco truck here in New York. I read this article in the San Francisco Chronicle about birria tacos, which is a style of taco where the meat is slow cooked and the tortilla is dipped in the sauce and then fried that way. And then you get this like dip, like this soupy dip that the meat was cooked in to eat the tacos. So I'm very excited to have that. Oh, Gwem asks, what is the best way to open the seeds? Oh man, I actually like eating them whole when they're roasted, because sometimes they get so crisp that you can just chew through them. But yeah, it's pretty tough to open the seeds, huh? I think you'd have to roast them before you try opening them because they can be pretty slippery when they're not cooked through. And also, I think the air in the roasting process, the air rushes through and out and puffs them up a little bit better. But it's kind of like sunflower seeds. They need to be cracked vertically, or not vertically, on their sides, because there's a seam that goes around the whole seed. So if there's a way, if you have like a mortar and pestle, you can like you know, hold the seed and then use the pestle to crack the side, and then you'll be able to peel them open? This is a good question. I will think about this, and I will get back to you about better solutions. I don't think everyone's gonna have a mortar and pestle. Alright, friends, I'm gonna wrap it up for today, but if you have any further cooking questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. The username's here, Randwiches. And if you want to submit questions for next time, I'm happily taking suggestions. If you want to submit cooking photos that you want to be featured here on the stream, please tag me on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, would love to hang out with you online again next week. Thank you again to you, Gwem, for sending your raid over. That was my first raid. I really appreciate it. And I'm really happy to see all of you in the chat. I'll see you again on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. I might stream Night in the Woods this weekend. It's a small indie game that I've been playing for a while, and I still haven't finished it. Oh my gosh, because I don't have a lot of time. But I'm going to try. Oh my gosh, well, I'm glad to reconnect with you both. Really, really happy that you're cooking. So, let me know how I can help you in the kitchen, everybody. I'll see you on Twitter and Instagram, and next week at 5 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch. Bye! See you later!